Hi guys, we're going to get started on our 5thBritto inspired artwork today, and these are the things that you are going to need. A sheet of white paper, crayons and markers. If you have watercolor paints, you can definitely use those. If you don't have watercolor paints, that's just fine. You can do the whole project without them too. We're going to get started with an animal today. Now I've chosen a turkey because it's getting close to Thanksgiving, and I thought that would be a good animal. If you would like to do a different animal, that's fine, but I want you to find a picture of it. Even if you grab your computer and you look up a picture, look in a magazine or a book, find a picture of the animal that you want to draw so that you're going to be able to do a great job of drawing it. So as you can see, I have the picture of the turkey right here next to my paper so that I will be able to look at it. Now when I'm looking at this turkey, I see a very big round body. The head is actually kind of in line with the body, and then of course there's the tail. So I'm going to start very lightly with my pencil, and I'm just going to start by drawing a large circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can always come in and clean it up later, but this is just a guide for making this nice round body. Now I want to make the head of my turkey come to right about there. The neck kind of gets buried in the middle of the circle. So I'm going to connect the head and neck. And when I'm looking at this turkey has a very funky nose going on, and I'm going to change that a little bit. And of course 5thBritto did the same thing. He would abstract his animals and simplify them, and you can do that too. So I'm usually want to add too many details quite yet. I'm just going to get the position of everything and the size of everything correct. So I'm going to start breaking up my turkey into some of these shapes here that I see in his body. So I see a couple of groups of feathers here, and then it kind of gets broken up. There's like a turkey beard down here. I'm going to scoot my paper over so I can see it and you can see me drawing a little bit better. Alright, so I have all of those different sections of feathers in there. And I probably want to make sure I have some kind of waddle in here. I'm just not making it come right off of the turkey's nose. You can decide how much more detail you're going to put into it. I think I'm going to put in the other eye, even though you don't really see that in the picture. And I'm going to work on my feathers. So my feathers are going to come right up here. And I've just got a big rainbow of feathers. And I have to decide how many sections I want to have of the feathers also. There's this big black section, there's a tan, a brown. So there's lots of different ways I can divide this up, and that's what Brito did with a lot of his animals. He would divide the bodies up into sections so that he could add pattern to each section. So again, I'm abstracting this a little bit, but I really like this kind of light tan color and how it breaks up the feathers. And then I can also draw my feathers on here. I don't think I'm going to have quite that many feathers. I bet this turkey has probably about 50 feathers. I'm not going to have quite that many, but I am going to have a lot. Alright, I finished drawing out my feathers, and the last thing I'm going to add are the feet and maybe the wings. So I'm just looking at the picture. One foot's kind of back further. And he's kind of got it picked up and walking. So it looks a little funky, but that's okay. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Now, if you're going to use watercolors, I want you to outline with crayon. If you are not going to use watercolor, you can outline with crayon or marker. It's up to you. But if you are using watercolor, you want to make sure you get a nice solid line. Brito would divide up his paintings with black paint. So I'm going to be dividing up my turkey and tracing over my lines with a black crayon. If you want to choose different colors, that's absolutely fine too. So I'm going to start my pattern on my turkey now, and I think I'm going to be using warm colors on my turkey. So there's lots of different ways you can use crayons and markers to make patterns. One of the ways that I like to do is to start out with a dark colored marker and create an interesting pattern. And I want you to be really creative with your patterns. Make them your own. So I'm making these little diamond shapes. I want you to think of a different pattern for each section of your animal, no matter what animal it is. And then I'm just going to take my crayon, and it needs to be a lighter color crayon to color over it. I want to be careful because I don't want to pick up all of the black crayon that I outlined with. So I'm kind of going along the edge, trying not to touch the black too much. If I do, I'm wiping it off because I want to keep my yellow nice and bright. And then you can still see my marker through the crayon, of course. You can do this very similarly with the crayon, choosing a dark color and a light color. So I have a red violet and a, let's see, a red violet, maybe I'll grab a red here. And I can think of a different pattern. The pattern, of course, is any repeating design. So I see in the turkey, the feathers actually kind of stack together like this. So I'm abstracting it a little bit. I'll finish this up, but then I'll just take my crayon and I will color over that purple, and you'll still be able to see it. Alright, so I'm going to try a little bit of watercolor, and I have first in this section done some crayon, And hopefully if my paint is nice and wet, it won't stick to the crayon and my pattern will still show up. And it looks like it's gonna work out. That should kind of clear off as it dries too. Now if you use Crayola markers, those will actually, if you wet them, kind of turn into watercolors a little bit. But here I used a permanent marker, so I'm going to see how that turns out. You also don't have to use permanent markers, it's just what you have laying around. This type of project gives you a lot of room to try different materials and layering them differently. So it really changed my pink into a red color, but it was interesting to try. I'm going to keep adding color to my turkey. Alright, this turkey is looking really good, and this is a good time to take a break if you need it. And when you come back, you're going to start on your background. For my background, I want to use cool colors to really help all these warm colors stand out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black crayon again, and I'm going to divide my background up any way I want. So if you want to have a more realistic background, then draw something more realistic. If you want to have an abstract or just shapes in the background, that's fine too. So I'm just adding in my black lines. And then I'm going to start with my pattern again. Let's see, maybe one more right there. Now this time I'm going to use cool colors like blue, green, and violet. And I'm going to do some nice big patterns in my background and make them bold and exciting. Alright, I'm just adding some more cool colors into my background, and my colors are really starting to look nice. My patterns are standing out. If you draw bigger patterns, you probably can paint around them instead of painting over the crayon. I'm trying to paint around them. There we go, nice and bright there. So try a couple of different ways of making patterns, whether you're using crayons and markers, or watercolors, or maybe you grabbed your oil pastels or color pencils. It's up to you. Alright, I am just finishing up with my 5thBritto turkey here. And I'm going to let it dry. Remember to click on the slide that I attached to the assignment on the Google Classroom so that you can take a picture. It has all the directions on there on how to take a picture and attach the picture to the slide, and then you press turn in. Don't send me a blank slide. Don't just press turn in. You have to take a picture of your art and put it on the slide. I hope you guys had fun. Happy Thanksgiving.